so there was one big thing that as Davos was talking and sort of ranting at Dany,
talking a little too much,
and maybe a little bit too much. Jon stopped him right before he made the comment about how Jon died and was resurrected, and also what he did get out was, he took a knife in the heart for this. And Dany brings it up again to Tyrion. She's like, do you know what the deal with this is? Why do you think, Joshua Yale, that Jon didn't want Daenerys to know about his resurrection?
I think because he's already bringing a really weird thing of like the Walking Dead men, by the way, new Game of Thrones spinoff, are on the way to kill us. You need to abandon everything and deal with this supernatural threat. Although you're saying this to a woman with dragons, and she even admits that, of just like, oh, I have dragons. Maybe we should re-examine what we think we know. But I think that's a little too much, I think, to throw on somebody. It also calls sort of him into question, I think, and just sort of like what's his deal, and I don't think you want to get too much into that. But she was very intrigued by that. In fact, I think that she brings it up later to Tyrion, and I think that is part of what helped her sort of invest in Jon Snow and be like, okay, maybe I can trust him. Let me give him something and try and work with him a little bit. I think that was part of it, of that intrigue of what's going on, because she had herself an experience where she should have died.
The Unburned.
When she became the Unburned, right? And she walked into the fire and came out with 3 dragons. She didn't literally die and come back, but she was reborn like a phoenix, like a dragon phoenix, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like Jon went through that too, and she senses like a kinship there, like, oh, maybe I relate to him. Maybe we have more in common than I thought.
I don't know that I think that she went sort of that far and like, oh, do we have something in common? But I think seeing the passion that Davos spoke of Jon definitely helped change her mind. It is interesting to me though, like the popular theory I've seen on the internet is he sounds like a crazy person anyway. Let's not add resurrection on top of it. But we know that Dany, knows about the Lord of Light and has spoken to and has the support of the Red Priest and Volantis as well. So it was an interesting thing for me to remain a secret. I'm also surprised that the lore and story of Jon Snow's resurrection hasn't spread far and wide across Westeros. That of all things that people know, they don't know that. So I'm really curious. I'm curious if that has a bigger role to play, and maybe if Daenerys does find out this one last big secret about Jon, that puts a piece in place for her, in this big puzzle of taking over Westeros that makes sense. I'm very intrigued that they left that open and didn't lay all those cards out on the table.
Yeah, I have to talk about something next episode.
I know, and I'm so glad that he's still a Dragonstone. I'm glad that they did end up on the right foot where she's saying, okay, yes, I will give you the resources to mine this dragon glass, which we know, as we know that the Night King is out there, will be very useful. And I also want to say I'm really pleased that this season, with the exception of Bran's flash sideways, whatever, vision in the premiere, hasn't had a huge presence from the Night King and the White Walkers. I'm glad that it's very much focused on the small children's problems of who's going to rule Westeros, and hopefully in the back half of the season and going into season 8, the final season, it'll have a lot more of that. And I also want to plug an excellent breakout from Lucy and Tristan last week, where they explained Arya's "That's Not You" line to Nymeria, because it added a lot of great insight into something that I think confused a few people. So that's about it for us here on Dragons on the Wall this week. But for all things Game of Thrones, as always, keep it here on IGN.